So we recently got some new information on Diablo 4, specifically when it comes to the Diablo 4 development streams and PTR streams, and they're going to be kind of revamping these to better serve players and player feedback, and I think this is actually going to play pretty heavily into some pretty big changes we're going to be seeing in the near future, specifically with Season 10, and then going into 2026, getting the new expansion and the seasons with that. And I do also think around the time of Gamescom, we may be getting some big Diablo 4 reveals, but I'm not 100% certain on that, and we'll go over that a little bit more in this video. And this information comes from Adam Fletcher on Twitter, who was just asked when we're going to be getting the campfire for Season 10. And he replied that Season 10 PTR is still a few weeks out. And usually the PTR is like a week or two after the campfire. So we may be actually like a week or two away from the next campfire. We are doing a big revamp for streams going forward to change up the format. We'll have some adjustments on how we do PTR streams as well. And I think what he's meaning by PTR streams is they usually do a stream sometime later on after the PTR is ended to talk about what they learned. So he's probably talking about that when he talks about PTR streams. And it goes on to say the streams need some adjustments after a few years and have been wanting to readjust to better serve players and some feedback. I have a post I have others reading through for approvals, but should have a note to share on this in the coming week. So sometime this week, we'll be getting a note on how the campfires and developer live streams are actually changing. And I'm not exactly sure what this is going to mean for the developer live streams specifically. I've actually been wanting some changes with these live streams as well. They've all been pretty long recently, like 2+ hours, and they just seem kind of unorganized. So they kind of run a long time. Some of these streams I've just been not watching when they're live, and I just watch it like 1.5 times after they've been live because they just take such a long time to get through. So I'm hoping one of the things they're doing is making it a bit more organized and maybe just making it a bit shorter, a bit easier to follow, and just getting more information into these live streams without it having to be like 2.5 hours. Now, what's interesting is our upcoming campfire and PTR is going to be around the time of Gamescom. Gamescom this year is August 20th to August 24th. Now, Gamescom is a really big gaming convention that usually has some pretty massive reveals. Like something in specific, the next World of Warcraft expansion is getting its cinematic reveal and some other reveals during the show. So it's a pretty massive show, and we do know specifically from a Microsoft post what specific things are going to be on display, at least for Microsoft. Diablo 4 is not on that list. But what's also very interesting is that while the next World of Warcraft expansion is having its cinematic and some other reveals at the show, they are also doing live streams on Twitch and YouTube after the cinematic showing that are going to go into details of like new features and new things coming with that expansion. So I do think there's a decent chance we're actually going to be getting some new reveals for Diablo 4, just not specifically at Gamescom, just kind of in a similar time period, and it would be like live streamed or videos on YouTube or Twitch. I think there's a decent chance that happens because I don't think any other Blizzard product is actually at Gamescom, so I think there's a decent chance that a bunch of Blizzard games get videos or live streams or something like that in a similar time frame as Gamescom. And specifically, I don't think this is going to be an expansion reveal. Maybe we get a teaser or something, but if they were going to have the expansion reveal for the next Diablo 4 expansion, we know they'd have a really crazy cinematic, and that would be at Gamescom. So I think if we're getting some new information or reveals on Diablo 4, it's probably going to be resolving on some of the big revamps we've been recently teased, like some revamps to skill trees, and then potentially the next season, depending on if the expansion is actually with that season or not. I think it's actually a good possibility that expansion 2 is with season 12, so maybe they tease us or show us some stuff from season 11. And there's also another possibility that they may be giving us a 2026 roadmap before we actually get into 2026. That is the possibility because a lot of the times when studios release roadmaps, they're not necessarily in the year they release. Sometimes they release them early, and a lot of the times on roadmaps, they'll do like the first section as much more specific information because it's closer, but as you get deeper into the roadmap, it gets less and less specific. That even happened on the 2025 roadmap, so there may be a small chance we get a roadmap as well. I think that's a much lesser chance, but I think it's still a possibility. And I do also think this change to the developer live streams may also point to learning about some of the bigger changes that we're getting with season 10. Because if you go back and look at the 2025 roadmap, as I went over, the first 3 seasons of the roadmap gave us pretty much all the specific information on stuff we were getting. But when we got to season 10, the more to come at the bottom, which was like permanent additions, just says more to come and is kind of burnt up. So we get to see nothing of permanent additions in season 10. We get to see the stuff that's kind of season specific, which are the Chaos Powers, the Infernal Hordes update, a new earnable pet, and a new IP collab. But if we go back and look at the other seasons on the 2025 roadmap, a lot of the new content coming that's not like a revamp was actually in the permanent additions at the bottom. So we don't actually know pretty much any of the new content we're getting is going to be permanent coming to season 10. We know there's going to be an Infernal Hordes update that they've teased and have said they want it specifically built around giving players more choice in it. And I very much hope they take this Infernal Hordes update and take it far enough, because I think a lot of the previous updates to a lot of systems, while they have generally been positive in my opinion, I don't think they've taken any of them far enough. Like I think from the season we're in, Dungeon Escalation and the new Nightmare activities, so the Herodric Strong Rooms, I think those are actually really good additions. I just don't think they took the system far enough. And I hope that's something to do with Infernal Hordes update. There's also going to be some new permanent content we're also getting that we don't know about yet. There's also the possibility that they've moved up some of the big revamps coming, and maybe we'll be getting some of those in season 10 as well. So in my mind, they're changing up how they do the developer live streams at the same time as giving us a ton of new information and potentially some new revamps, because they want to be able to more optimally tell us about the stuff they're working on and get feedback about the stuff they're working on, which would most likely be these big revamps. There's also the possibility that within all of this possible information we could be getting around Gamescom or around the next developer livestream, we know at the end of the 2025 roadmap, they had like a tease for 2026 that says new expansion, new ranking system, and leaderboards. They also teased new class there, but we already knew we were getting that. And we've gotten a little information previously on the new ranking system and leaderboards, that these are going to be kind of really big systems that tie into the entirety of the game. So maybe we get shown a little bit of those systems that seem to be coming with the expansion, but since they're kind of big systems to the game, I don't think these would be things you would have to pay for. These would be things that would probably come with the expansion, but be in like the free content of the expansion or the season that comes alongside the expansion. And I know it could be reading into this a little bit too much, but I do think that there's a good possibility that because they're changing how they're doing the developer live streams, they're going to be showing us something specific that they wanted to change the live streams for. Because he specifically mentions that they want these live streams to be changed to get better player feedback and serve the players better. I think there's a good possibility that they're going to be showing us a revamp or multiple revamps that are coming, and they want to do it in a much more optimal way to get better feedback from us and show it in a much more effective way. So I might just be going crazy, but I do think there's a good possibility of some of the things I went over in this video. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.